first scale that we're going to be looking at for the Myers-Briggs is the scale that examines where we get our energy from. So you're going to identify if you're more of an E for extrovert or more of an I for introvert. And these two terms have been utilized a lot in pop culture, but they don't mean quite the same thing on the MBTI. So suspend your judgment just for a sec. So if you have more of an E preference, your attention and energy tends to come from the outside world. You're very aware of people and objects and things and what's going on around you, and that kind of charges your batteries. These are folks that if they spend too much time alone, they start to feel drained. They're often quite verbal. These are folks that will think as they speak. So they'll be talking to you as they're thinking, and you can just kind of follow them. They often learn best through discussion. Extroverts often hate online classes. They want to be face-to-face with other students. They're very aware of their surroundings, and they're often described as pretty easy to get to know. Kind of what you see is what you get. They'll kind of share what's going on in their life, whether you're their best friend or whether you're somebody they met in line at the supermarket. So just kind of no surprises with these people. Very, very chatty. If you're on the other side of the scale and you have more of an introvert preference, you naturally get energized by having some downtime. Your attention and energy comes from the inside when you're thinking, when you're processing, when you're feeling. And you find that if you're around large groups of people for too long, you start to feel super drained, and you only really charge your battery when you have a chance to have some downtime. These people often really like having a certain amount of time that they spend on their own. They like to work out ideas internally first. So they aren't talking like the E's are, they're thinking first, and then when they finally communicate, it's often fairly polished. Sometimes they are described as kind of difficult to get to know. They're a little more contained, a little more reserved. They kind of believe that if you're going to be part of my inner circle, you have to earn it. I'm not just going to share everything about my life to everybody. And the introverts are often the people that will surprise you. They're the folks that you'll say, wow, I've known you for 5 years and I didn't know you spoke French. I didn't know you snowboarded. They kind of feel like, well, if you didn't ask me, I wouldn't share it with you. So here's a visual example. The extrovert is right out there. What you see is what you get. The introvert has some deep roots that they tend to keep a little more protected. Many times people in relationships with the opposite type, the E's are like, hey, keep up. I'm talking as I'm thinking. And the I's are going, wait, what's your point? So this is another example. My graphic that I use is the E's charge their battery from the outside world around them. The I's charge their battery from the inner world. Now, remember, we use both of these styles, right? So naturally extroverted people also want downtime, and naturally introverted people also can enjoy being around other people. It's just what charges your batteries and what drains you more. So some interesting contrasts that we see. The extroverts are often described as very gregarious, kind of intense, sharing things out loud, processing. The I's are a little more contained. They like to reflect, often prefer the written communication to verbal communication. And then some more good EI words. The sociability versus concentration and depth versus breadth. Introverts also often have circles of trust, right? So their best friends, and then the people that are pretty good friends, and then their acquaintances, and then people they don't know very well. Versus the extroverts kind of invite anybody to the party. They like to have large groups of people, and they'll interact and be pretty sociable whether they know you super well or they've just met you. So that's kind of the difference between the multiple relationships versus limited relationships. So I included a couple of videos that I hope you'll get a chance to watch. They're on the slides, and it kind of talks some more about EI contrasts. But I want you to think, for you personally, what charges your battery just a little bit more? Is it the outside world of people? Is it the inner world of thoughts and feelings and processing? And I want to share a brief story. You can tell me whether you identify with this or not. Imagine that you are waiting for a bus and it's going to take you to work or school, and you get on the bus and somebody you don't know comes and sits down next to you and makes small talk and is super chatty all the way to your destination. Would you find this kind of energizing, like that you're going to meet somebody new and have a chance to chat with somebody? Or would you find this a little draining, like, oh, it's a lot of work to make small talk? That's often an indication of what your natural style is. So take a moment. Which one sounds a little bit more like you?